warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. We are from Group 1. We will discuss about the study of language. The study of language. The organize of language. What is language? When and how language began? The organize of language. No one can know actually when or how human begins come up with spoken language. One hypothesis is that language began between 100,000 and 1500,000 years ago with the advent of modern man, Homo sapiens. This is well before the invention of the written language about 5,000 years ago. We have direct evidence and artifacts about writing. The dive search Genesis. God created Adam. What sauce Adam colored? Every living creature was the name thereof. In the Quran, he said Adam informed them of their names and had informed them of their name. A Hindu belief that language come from Saraswati, wife of Brahma, creator of the universe. The natural sound source. Language emerged from natural sounds. Primitive words are considered to be imitation of natural sounds that people heard around them. The natural sound a bird makes is argued to have been used to describe that particular animal. The fact that in many languages there are words such as drip, click, meow, and hum that sound like what they mean support this claim. Not every sound is onomatopic in a language. Some theories of organization of language invited by Max Muller. The Bow-Wow theory. According to this theory, language began when our ancestors started imitating the natural sounds around them. The first speech was onomatopoeic, marked by each word such as moo, meow, splash, chuckle, and bang. The oral gesture source. Originally, a set of physical gestures was developed as a means of communication. That a set of oral gestures, especially involving the mouth, developed for expressing idea. Physical gesture. Expect mouth. Physical gesture, including mouth, speech, sound.
Okay, now I will talk about the history and methods of psycholinguistics. A brief history of psycholinguistics. Given the subjective importance of language, it is surprising that the history of psycholinguistics is a relatively recent one, although it is often traced to a conference held in Cornell, USA in the summer of 1951, and the use of the word psycholinguistics in Osgood and Sebeok 1954 book describing that conference. The approach was certainly used before then. For example, Francis Galton studied word associations in 1879. The next is the cognitive science approach. The term cognitive science is used to cover the multidisciplinary approach to the study of the mind, including adult and developmental psychology, philosophy, linguistics, anthropology, neuropsychology, and particularly artificial intelligence or AI. If you have seen Kubrick's film 2001 A Space Odyssey, you will probably remember HAL, the talking, listening, or seeing thinking computer. In 1966, Weizenbaum made a program called ELIZA, and the next influential program was called Shardloo. This program was developed by Winograd in 1972. This program could answer questions about an imaginary world called Block's world. Block's world are occupied by objects such as small red pyramids sitting on top of big blue cubes. The next is the methods of modern psycholinguistics. The most popular method is called the priming methodology because it has been used almost all areas of psycholinguistics. The priming method has an effect called semantic priming. If priming causes processing to be speeded up, we talk about facilitation. If priming causes it to be slowed down, we talk of inhibition.
Time psycholinguistic. There's 9 times we'll record throughout this book. The first time is discovering the processes involved in producing and understanding language. The second time is the question of whether apparently different language processes are related to one another. The third time is whether or not processes in language operate independently of one another or whether they interact. Fourth, what is innate about language? Fifth, do we need to refer to explicit rules when considering language processing? Six, how sensitive are the result of our experiment to be particular techniques employed? 7. What can be learned from looking at the language of people with damage to the parts of the brain that control language? 8. There are many thousands of languages in the world. Estimates vary, but the current best bet is between 2,500 and 500 and 3,000. Ninth, we should be able to apply psycholinguistic research to everyday problems. Next, we will discuss about the part of controversies in modern psycholinguistics. The part one is how modular is the language system. The concept of modularity is important in psycholinguistics. Most people agree that processing can be described in terms of number or of level of processing. Processing starts with an input which is acted on by one or more intervening levels of processing to produce an output. There is much less agreement on the way in which these levels of processing are connected to each other. A module is a self-contained set of processes. It converts an input to an output without any outside help on what goes on in between. Another way of putting this is that the processes inside a module are independent of processes outside the module. Yet another way of describing it is to say that processing is purely data-driven. Models in which processing occurs in this way are called autonomous. The opposing view is that processing is